this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments, and I am bringing you another project recipe today for full moon fun. I've done another project recipe using this collection, but using a different project recipe with it. This is going to be the project recipe designed for full moon fun. That means we're going to use the Ghost border maker cartridge that was designed to go with this. It came out last year about this time and sold out really fast. So if you don't have the Ghost border maker cartridge, then you'll need to choose something else that's kind of viney, maybe that would work out perfect, or something that is just a decorative chain punch, so it separates from the page. That would look fine as well. But I am going to use the Ghost one because it is super cute, and because it's sold out, I know there are a lot of people that have it, and so hopefully you do, and you can pull that out and get some use out of it because they are really cute. So we're going to use the border maker system. As you can see, I've got that sitting out here on my table so we can get good use out of that. We're going to use repositionable and permanent adhesive. I'm just going to set that aside for a second. Here is the Full Moon Fun collection, and in all of its glory, it had a lot of really fun things with it, including this cut apart page, which we are going to use the cut apart page today, but we're not going to use the cut apart side, unfortunately, even though it's super cute. We are going to use the striped side for our page, and I'll show you how we're going to use that in just a second. But this is the design we're going to do, and it is a super cute layout. I have made it before, and it is really fun. These are the stickers that go along with this collection, and we are going to use those too. But I'm going to set those aside just for now. We're going to use a few additional papers to what it recommends on the project recipe guide. It recommends that you have a piece of designer paper, a piece of white cardstock, a piece of black cardstock, and then 2 designer papers that are combined with your white cardstock to make your base. So there is some welding that we're going to be doing today, but let me tell you about what I have out here so that you can get that ready to go if you want to make what I'm making today. I have some of our orange shimmer paper out here today, and we're going to use that as our design paper 1. So we're going to punch one of our rows of ghosts from this. We're going to make some mats from this. Then I also have this piece of the star and stripe design paper from this collection, and we're going to use this piece to do, let's see. Oh, we're going to use this piece to do the mats that are previously cut from these pieces right here. So it is going to be a little bit confusing. You are going to need to follow me, but it shouldn't be too bad. So these are our cut apart pieces. So that cut apart just means that the back is designed so that you can cut these pieces and make different features for your page if you want to. There's borders, there's little accent pieces, you can frame photos, mats, that kind of thing, or make journal boxes. And though these are darling, we're not going to use these for their intended purpose. We're going to flip this over and use the other side. But there is a section that we're going to cut off, so we're going to be careful about which piece we cut off so that we can preserve some of these cut aparts on the back to use for another project later on down the line. I also have a piece of white shimmer paper and a piece of black cardstock. So we're going to utilize all of these to make this page, and it's going to be fun. Let's go ahead and start with our 2 striped pieces, and you are going to need your 12-inch trimmer, which is my right arm when I'm scrapbooking, And we are going to cut off a piece that is 4 1/4 inches. And I'm going to cut that 4 1/4 inch piece from this side. And you'll notice if you flip it over, that means our stripes are going to be going vertical on our page. So we're going to turn them horizontal because we want to cut it crossways this way. So we're going to, let me move my cheater sticky note there, that's my reminder. We're going to cut, remember, from this edge, the top of the haunted house, cut apart, and we're going to cut 4 1/4 off of this page so that we have a 7 3/4 by 12 inch piece. So this is the piece we're going to set aside for using another day. And we want this piece to be part of one of our bases. We're going to do the same thing on this piece. So make sure you have the top of your haunted house on the back, and we're going to cut that at 4 1/4. So 4 1/4. And again, this piece gets set aside for use another day, and we want this big rectangle piece. All right, then we're going to grab our star and stripe paper, our Halloween stars and stripes paper, and we are going to use this paper to cut the 2 squares, or 2 rectangles that you can see here that are used for mats. Okay, those are going to be cut from this paper. And for me, I'm going to be using the star side of this paper, so directionality is not important to me. If directionality is important to you for the remainder of what you have left of this paper, you might be concerned about making sure that you have your stripes going one direction or another. Because these are long stripes, I would probably tend to use these going across my paper, like a border going this way. So I want the piece that's left over to be horizontal like this. That means I'm gonna want to cut my paper going horizontal like this with my lines. Okay, so I'll just leave the lines up even though I'm gonna use the star side of these. And I'm gonna wanna cut this at 4 1/4, just like we did those other pages. And then I'm going to slide over the thick sheet and cut this again at 4 1/4. Then we're going to stack and make one more cut. So this is extra. Set that aside. Stack our 2 4 1/4 pieces together. We're going to measure these pieces at 5 3/4. So move your arm out, and we're going to measure this at 5 3/4. 5 3/4 will leave us the other side at 6 1/4. So we have 2 different size mats. And again, we're going to use this. I'm going to use the star side. You can use whichever side makes you happy. Okay. Now we're going to grab our, let's get our white shimmer paper, which I'm using to replace the white cardstock up here. And I am going to go ahead and cut 2 of these at 4 1/4. Okay, so here's 1 at 4 1/4, and here's 2 at 4 1/4. And those pieces we're going to weld, and this piece we're going to punch, so keep that handy. Now we're going to use our black cardstock, and we're going to, first thing we're going to do is go ahead and cut 2 welding pieces off of this page. So we're going to cut 2 1-inch pieces, measuring this to 1 inch on the right hand side of my grid. These are our welding pieces. And I'm going to set those off here to the side, but not off my mat. We'll get to those in a minute. Then we're going to take this remaining piece, we're going to turn it, and we're going to cut 1 inch off so that it is 11 inches wide. So essentially now it is 10 inches this way and 11 inches this way. And this piece is extra, so just set it off to the side so you don't get it confused. All right, now this piece we are going to do a few things to, then we're going to cut it again. So just set it for now to the side, and then we are going to go ahead and grab our orange shimmer. Go ahead and set your trimmer off to the side, but we are going to need that again. So just so that you know, usually I try to cut everything first, but this is not going to let us do that. So we're going to need to get that out again. But for now, we're going to go ahead and punch our shapes. So we're going to do one string of orange shimmer ghosts using our border maker system. And you can see these ghosts are just super cute. So there's one string of orange ghosts, and then we're going to do 2 strings of white ghosts. So this white piece of paper that I had you set aside but keep here, we're going to use that. We're going to punch 2 strings of white ghosts from this. Halloween is such a fun time. I have a good friend. Actually, I have a few good friends who just really love Halloween time. We have a neighbor around the corner who loves to decorate their yard like Pirates of the Caribbean, and they do a fantastic job. So fun to play at Halloween with all the kids. Okay, so we're gonna do one more string of white ghosts. And you saw how my punch got a little bit hung up there. Occasionally that can happen when you're punching, and you can feel it if you're careful about how you are moving your punch in and out. You can feel it if it gets caught. So just be careful. If you're a little too aggressive, depending on the punch you're using, you can tear your paper up pretty good. But if you're careful, then even if it gets caught, you can usually finagle it so that you don't destroy what you've punched, which can be important if you're limited on your supplies. All right, so we've got that one done. I'm going to set this aside because we don't need this extra piece of white shimmer, so that's going to just go off to the side, and we are done with our border maker system. So I'm going to move my border maker system out of frame as well. Oh, I still have some little residual dots. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and cut just a couple more of our mats for this. So we're going to cut at 4 1/4. And we're going to cut at 3 1/4. We're going to cut 3 of them at 3 1/4. There's 1, 2, and 3. It'll be coming up here very quickly. 3. Okay, I'm just going to set that aside. There is one additional mat that's 4 1/4 square, and that mat is right here in the corner. So for right now, I am let's see, Nope, I do want to cut that. So let me grab another piece of orange shimmer very quickly so I can do that. For some reason I didn't have that ready. So we're gonna just cut one very quickly that's 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. Turn this, do 4 1/4. All right, now we have all of our pieces, and we should be able to set that aside for the moment. Okay, so now what we're going to do is take our ghosts that we punched, and we're going to line up our ghosts across the bottom of our black piece. Can you see that here? The black piece is here. Now you are going to need a corner rounder. So if you have your corner rounder, go ahead and get that out. And I'm going to suggest that you go ahead and round each of these 4 corners of your black piece of cardstock so that you know where that cut is. It'll make it easier for you to adhere your ghosts and not worry about them being in an area that's going to get snipped off using the corner rounder. If you don't have a corner rounder, you don't have to round the corners. It's just kind of an added cool feature. All right, so we're going to use our first piece of white ghosts, and they're going to go across the very bottom here, and you'll notice that they kind of hang off the edge over here. You can cut that ghost in half, or you can kind of squeeze them over so that you get the eyes of both of these end ghosts on your page, which is kind of what I prefer to do, so that you don't end up with a ghost that's completely subjected to being cut in half. We're just going to use some of our repositionable adhesive and go ahead and get this guy, this row of ghosts right on the very bottom, not exactly on the edge, but maybe just, you know, a tiny bit away from the edge. All right, so we're gonna glue him down. And now we're gonna go ahead and take our orange ghosts, and we're going to do the same thing with our orange ghosts. And you can make them right on top of each other, or you can make them be kind of in between each other. I like the in between each other look a little bit better myself. But they shouldn't be totally overlapping. Just barely touching the top of the row below them is perfect. And we're going to trim off the edges when we're done, so no worries there. Okay, and you'll notice with my repositionable adhesive, I can just run right across the page. I don't have to worry about my mat underneath. And the reason is because I can just rub the extra adhesive. If any of it has come off on my mat, I can just rub it right off, so it's not a problem there either. All right, so we have our rows of ghosts. Now I'm going to grab my scissors, which are hiding up here. Turn this over, and I'm going to do a little fussy cutting. You could use your trimmer if you prefer, and go ahead and just cut these off with your trimmer. Or, you know, I feel like it doesn't hurt me to use the skills that I've honed over years of scrapbooking to just, you know, trim sometimes. It's good. Helps me stay in practice. All right, let me get our cutaway ghosts removed. All right, now we're going to grab our trimmer just one more time. And you'll notice from looking at the pattern that we are going to need to cut 2 1/4 inches off the edge of this piece. So we're going to, I'm going to turn this upside down because I want to measure 2 1/4 on this side of my page, the right side of my page. So I've turned it upside down, and I'm going to cut, and it's actually going to be right between the eyeballs of this poor little ghost, but that's okay. He'll recover. All right. So now I have my 2 pieces that I need for the layout. So I'm going to set my trimmer aside, and we should be done with the trimmer. So now grab your 2 green lined pieces and your 2 white shimmer pieces. These are going to be welded together. If you've not seen the way that I like to weld, let me show you very quickly. And I think it may become one of your favorite things to do. Welding, when I first heard of doing this, I thought, oh, it just sounds so horrendous. I don't think I could ever do that. But actually, it's one of my favorite things to do, thanks to CM advisor Sherry Tilley and her little trick that she taught me a few years ago. So if you take your 2 pieces that you want to weld together and you flip them over to the back, okay, then you line them up so that the edge that you want to weld is put together. All right, then you take your adhesive, your permanent adhesive, and I run it diagonally across the seam that I want to weld together. As my fingers are holding the pages together, I just run about 1 inch of adhesive diagonally in about 5 places down that seam. Then I take my welding material, that's these little 1-inch strips of black that we cut at the beginning, put that right along the edge of your paper with the seam going right down the center. So the edge goes right up to the edge and the seam right down the middle. Can you see that? And then you just lay it down right on top, and your paper is perfectly welded together and looks like it was supposed to be that way all along, which is so fun and easy. All right, so that's one of our bases. Here we're going to do another one of our bases. So we're going to just put these 2 edges together. Now I am fudging this just a tiny bit because my white shimmer paper is just a hair's breadth shorter in width than my designer paper is. For some reason they call that an allowance, measured allowance, or I can't remember exactly. Anyway, but it is not fun when your paper doesn't quite measure up. So what I do when that happens is I just try to absorb the space as evenly as possible on both sides, so I don't end up with a huge gap on one side or the other. And then it usually looks okay when I put it on my page or in my album. All right, so here we have number 2. So here we have page 1 and page 2. Now we're going to take our black page we just made with our ghosts on it. We're going to line that up so that, let me get this a little more centered so you can see it a little bit better and I'm not going off screen. All right, so our ghost is going to be probably closer to right about there, within about 1/2 inch of our edge. That's where our black piece is going to go. All right, There we go. And then we're going to, let's see here. We're gonna line up you know what? I'm just noticing I did a portion of this wrong, but I'm gonna just adapt with it. Our black piece should have been turned the vertical way, and that's my mistake, but you know what? I think it will still end up okay. So we're going to, I'm gonna just adjust this and move this down just a little bit and make it a little closer to my edge so that it's within about 3/4 of an inch of the bottom and 1/4 of an inch on the outside. Should have been a little bit higher so that I had my 11-inch width vertically instead of horizontally. And I'm sorry for leading you astray, but we can adapt and overcome. That's what I'm gonna do today. So we're gonna go ahead and put our two of our orange mats go right here. And then the smaller orange mat overlaps here, and the larger orange mat overlaps above. Oops. Just like that. Then we have these two mats that are the wider ones go right here next to it. And these two that are the shorter ones go up here, just kind of adjacent to one another, like so. So that leaves us this area where we can embellish, this area where we can embellish, and this area over here where we can add a small embellishment. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our mats and our base put down. And I am sorry that I goofed. That is, you know, I could go back and just edit it out, and many people would probably judge me and say I should go back and edit it out so that I'm doing it perfect. But you know what? I kind of feel like, you know, we don't always do it perfect every single time, and so we need to learn and adapt and see how we can fix it so that it will work. Because we don't all have, you know, resources where we can just redo everything all the time, right? Okay. Maybe I'll put a disclaimer on the beginning of the video to say that that I did cut it wrong, so that people, as they're doing this layout in the future, can do it the right way. All right, and I'm gonna redo this one. Let's pop this up, make it a little bit closer. So that I have a little more continuity here. All right, there's that. All right, we're going to tip these just a little bit, just to give them some personality. So they touch the edge and overlap just a little in the center. But you'll notice I didn't add any adhesive in here, so I can slip a photo behind that mat. And I'm going to go ahead and put these pages together so that I have this black in the same spot. What I mean by that is I'm going to pick this up and move it just temporarily to the side here so that I can make sure that when I put this down, it is in the same place and lined up the same way. There we go. Okay. And then what we can also do is line this back up in the center here and put these mats on in the same place so that, because they are the same height, you just need to be able to see where that center line is. There it is. Okay. There we go. So if you are like me and you don't have kids that are dressing up for Halloween as much anymore in your home, maybe you have grandkids that are dressing up now. Hopefully your grandkids live close by and they come over and get treats from you. That would be so fun. But my kids are not really old enough to have given me grandkids. I suppose the argument would be that yes, they are old enough to have given me grandkids, but they have not done so yet, and that's okay. I'm not in any big rush. But at any rate, I don't have any littles that will be coming to visit me for Halloween. I do have a little guy that I watch once a week, and so pictures of him are fun, and I try to take pictures of my kids who are enjoying handing out candy, or if we go to a Halloween carnival or something, maybe at church or in our neighborhood. Like I said, we have our friends down the street and around the corner who like to do their yard, and so it's so fun to go ahead and go and see them. Last year when I went to pick my daughter up after she'd been trick-or-treating with friends, I went and got to see a lot of what was going on in the neighborhood because I got to get out and go and pick her up. So that was kind of fun. All right, so let's go ahead and create some clusters and using our great stickers. And these are wonderful border stickers. I love the spider webs especially, but we're not going to use these for our clusters because we have all of these cute ghosts on here already. But what I am going to use are some stickers that kind of are going to go together, and I got fairly smart. At least I like to think I got fairly smart, and I took a look at these before I started my video this time so that I could try and speed up the process of selecting my embellishments, because I know I probably aggravate a lot of people with how long it takes me to do my embellishment clusters. But these are, this is how I'm gonna do this particular one. And, oh, excuse me. It is gonna be a little bit bigger than what I had wanted for the space because of the way that I did this differently. So I think I'm going to switch it, and I'm going to put this one over here on this side. And let me grab some foam squares to prop this up. Right now, all I have are my little itty bitty foam squares. So I'm not going to take the time to take off all the little backs on these while I've got the video going, because it just takes a while to get all the little backs off of so many tiny ones. But I will put them where they're going to go so that you have a good idea of where they should be. And then I always kind of put a couple right in the middle just to kind of keep it lifted off of the paper. So this one's going to go right here in the center. And then we're going to do, where'd it go now? I got excited and I told you how organized I was, and now I can't see what I need to see. Okay, so we're going to do My Little Pumpkin, and we're going to use the jack-o'-lantern that's here as part of that. And we're going to use also this piece of candy corn right here. And this is meant to go in this spot right here. So we're going to, I'm gonna layer this just a little bit, and I'm gonna actually elongate it just a little bit more. Here, how am I gonna do that? Let's do like that. Okay, so that it will fit a little more appropriately in this spot without covering up so much of whatever photo is going to go right there. So it's not completely elongated, but it is a little bit more so than it was. So that's good. I'm hoping that we will get another fun Halloween type holiday collection out this year. I'm not sure if we will or not, but it's still possible we may get that. Later this month, or possibly in the early part of October. All right, so then we're going to do Boo up here, and I'm going to have this come right off of the center, or right off of the top edge of my page. And I forgot the cardinal rule when you're trying to center something like this. You start with the one in the middle and center it on this mat. So I'm going to try to get this green O as close to the middle of this orange mat as I can, coming right off the edge of the top of my page. Do you see that? It almost looks just a tiny bit crooked to me, but not too bad, I think. All right. And I'm not worrying about popping these up, but we are going to add just a little bit of dimension with a couple of other things that we're going to put with it. Just some little stars that are a similar shape to what we have on the left side of the page. So make sure that your border between the letters is the same, or as close to the same as you can make it. Okay, so there's our Boo banner centered up there. And then we're going to use these little shapes right here that are like little stars, and they're each going to get a foam square on the back. I think these are small enough that they'll work. Let's see. You have to be really careful how you put them on there, but yes, those will work. Okay, so we're going to be careful about which one we place where, because you don't want to put the black one on the black letter or the black banner. So, and be really careful how you put these on as well, because they just barely fit. And if you're off even just a tiny bit, they're going to show, but you can kind of trim them if you need to. It's just a little more fussy than I want it to be. So I'm going to put these kind of just off just a little, because I don't want them centered on anything. And then we will be done. Let's see. We've got orange, I've got black, and we've got this kind of yellowy color. That's gonna go down there. All right. So how's that for a little fall inspiration? Get us excited about Halloween and all of our possible trick-or-treaters coming to visit. Such a fun layout to do for Halloween. I really hope that you have enjoyed walking through this video with me today and learning to do the project recipe for the Full Moon Fun collection that came out in 2021. And I hope that you will put something like this together for your album, even if you use this same pattern, but maybe switch out the Border Maker cartridge with something else, and then you could use a different collection. This is a really nice layout for your album, so I hope that you will use it and find its versatility for your needs. Thanks so much for joining me, and once again, I'm wishing you many more creative moments. Have a great day.